Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Now, I make no secret about this fact. Like many of you, I am from a very small town with very few Jews, so I want to do something. It's kind of a play on a kind of classic comedy routine. Now, admittedly, it works better in a room full of folks, and you can't see what I'm seeing. We have, like a minion of folks. You guys are great. You're not a room full. But hopefully the minion here will oblige me, and hopefully you'll play along at home. So when I say where I'm from is so small, so you're going to say, how small? There you go. Okay, so we're ready? Okay. Where I'm from is so small.
How small is it?
Where I'm from is so small that my little elementary school, our cafeteria was the same room as the gym, which was the same room as the assembly room. You can imagine the smell. Where I'm from is so small. It's so small we didn't even have a synagogue in our county, so my parents would drive us 45 minutes to the next county over to go to synagogue and Hebrew school 3 times a week. God bless them. Where I'm from is so small. Where I'm from is so small that the KKK tried to adopt a highway. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. You know the adopt a highway thing? It's where, a local civic organization adopts a stretch of highway, so they're responsible for picking up the litter and generally making it look nice on that, 2-mile or whatever stretch. And in exchange, they get a sign put up that says, adopt a highway, name of organization. I say tried. They tried. I remember this distinctly as a kid. It was a big thing because so many people were against it, thank God. And I remember reading in the newspaper, because I was a kid who read the newspaper, it's shocking, and there's letters to the editor, and one of them said, sure, the KKK can adopt the highway, and every week I'll take all my trash and I'll dump it there. And I remember, even as a kid, reading that letter to the editor, and I felt really touched. I felt touched. This is some guy, he's not Jewish, not by the name, look at the name at least, that he and all these folks cared so much about those of us who the KKK hates to drive them away. They drove them out of our small town. And that really made me feel really good, that act of kindness on their part. Needless to say, the KKK was not allowed to adopt a highway in my old hometown. And that was the last time I had to deal with neo-Nazis until Wednesday, actually, till this past Wednesday. There was an all-day Shavuot Learn-a-thon that EOS put together, which was great because traditionally we learn Torah all night. We couldn't do that, obviously, this year. Things are crazy. So EOS organized a Learn-a-thon all day the day before of all sorts of different rabbis, different streams and denominations of Judaism. It was great. Now, I don't fault you if you didn't catch mine because it was the primo slot of 8 a.m., so I forgive you. It was the first one, however, so that was kind of cool. At 8 a.m., people started filling in the room, the Zoom room. And I just had started saying how Shavuot is this holiday, and these are the kinds of things that we do on Shavuot, and suddenly, out of nowhere, materialized the neo-Nazis. And their names were just these very offensive things listed in kind of the roster, and their screens, they couldn't share them. I wouldn't let them share screens, but you could see everyone's little screen, and they're just these disgusting photos. And someone on there was blasting techno music, electronic, it was awful. It's awful in any case, I think, but specifically then. No offense to people like techno. And there was a voice. You could barely hear it because the techno was so loud. But there was a voice. A man was talking about stuff that those folks from the KKK who tried to adopt a highway in my old hometown, they would have definitely agreed with everything he was saying. And it was like whack-a-mole, because I was frantically trying to, I would remove one person and 3 more would pop up. And it's just, you're trying to shut them down and shut them up. And eventually I managed to kind of mute everybody, and we went on with our learning. And it was kind of funny, in a way, because the guy who was talking, and you could barely hear him, you kind of want to say, I'm sorry, Mr. Neo-Nazi, I can't hear you above the music. And, what? Sorry, what? I didn't say it, but I was thinking it. He sounded young, to be honest. He sounded like a young guy. He sounded either very calm or kind of bored, actually. And I wondered what he was like. This bored young man who decides, it's 8 a.m. I think I'll go spew vile, hate-filled rhetoric at a bunch of Jews. What possesses someone to do that, to make that kind of a choice? What kind of a human being is so fueled by hate in this way? Because it is a choice. It's a choice. Hate is a choice. You can choose to be a vile human being like that. What kind of a choice is that, though? It's unfathomable, really. Doesn't it seem unbelievable, like that someone would choose to hate? That hate would be the right path to take? It doesn't even make sense, does it? Our ancient rabbis would say that is not an unfathomable choice at all, actually. And now I'm going to connect neo-Nazis and Shavuot, just you watch. Shavuot, we traditionally read the Megillah of Ruth. We read a Megillah on every holiday. Ruth is the one we read on Shavuot. There are a lot of reasons given. I actually taught about them in my lesson. I forgot to teach about this one, but you'll forgive me because there are some things going on. The rabbis, our ancient rabbis, they ask, why do we read the book of Ruth on Shavuot? Shavuot is about fruit, and it's about Torah. Ruth has no fruit, and Ruth literally never mentions Torah, the book of Ruth. It's not in there. Come on, guys, our ancient rabbis say. We call this Zman Matan Toratenu. This is the time of the giving of our Torah. Where's the Torah in Ruth? They teach. The story of Ruth is a story of chesed, of kindness. Ruth's husband dies. Does she abandon her mother-in-law? Does she say, hey, lady, I married your son, not you. You're on your own. No. She says, wherever you go, I go. And she sticks by her elderly mother-in-law's side. Boaz, the wealthy landowner, notices Ruth picking up grain behind the harvesters as they leave some behind. And does he say, hey, lady, that's not yours. That's my grain. Leave it alone. No. In fact, he tells his harvesters to leave a little extra as they're gleaning the fields. Leave it behind for her. And so he helps feed not only Ruth, but her mother-in-law, who are both hungry, and he does it without embarrassing them. The story of Ruth is a story of kindness. Overt, going out of your way for other people, kindness. And that's what the rabbis say. Zoe Kar Shela Torah, encouraging kindness, is the whole point of Torah. If listening to Torah and holding on to Torah and believing in Torah doesn't make you a kind person, you're doing it wrong, they say. As Jews, we are meant to remember on today, this day of receiving Torah and everything contained therein, all the mitzvot, all the Jewish observances, all the traditions, all of them, every single one exists to help transform us into good, kind people. The world spins on an axis of kindness. The Torah teaches this. Our rabbis emphasize this, that every act of chesed that we do helps keep the world moving in the right direction. Every time we choose to be kind, we keep the world moving in the right direction. That bored, mean little boy who decided to Zoom bomb our Shavuot learning, and I say boy because no real man would act the way he did, that boy made a choice to hate. He hated us because we're Jews. But we know that our Torah and our God teach that chesed, that kindness, that being and doing and defending kindness and love is a choice, and it's a choice we have to make over and over and over. When we encounter hate in the world directed at us as Jews, we have to choose kindness. Double down on our kindness, because we have to be kind to ourselves and kind to each other, because we know we don't need that kind of hate. There's enough hate in the world. And when we see hate directed at others because of their religion or the color of their skin or their gender identity or their sexuality, we have to double down on kindness there too. We have to be kind to those being attacked senselessly, and we have to defend them against their attackers, as we would want to be so kindly treated when it is we who are on the receiving end of such hatred. I still remember That letter in the newspaper when I was a kid, that man, he could have kept his head down. He could have let the KKK do what they want to those people. But he didn't. He refused to allow hate to reign. He defended us as Jews and all of us being attacked that day. He and all of us who defended us might not have been Jewish, and they probably weren't if you knew where I grew up. But they knew that kindness and love are the best and most worthy choice that any human being can make. On Shavuot, on this holiday of Matan Torah, and as such is a holiday of celebrating the importance of kindness, may we remember to be kind to ourselves, which is no small feat as these days drag on. May we be kind to our own, to our fellow Jews, to our neighbors, to our friends, and to our family, those whose hearts we hold within our own. And may we be kind to others. May we choose to embody true Torah by embodying chesed, loving kindness, to all of God's people. I wish you a Shabbat of peace, a Shabbat Shalom, and a Chag Sameach.